Yes, the question is about if we believe in causality and karma and rebirth. The whole thing about the Dharma is about creating good actions for having a good next life. It won't be that like because some people do something sometimes just because the interest of having a better life in the future, not like an unselfish action about today, being nice just for being nice, or doing good actions just to good actions. They're doing it because in the next life will come a better life. Just how is seen that like in the Dharma? Is it not that a selfish action?
To think about a good future rather than a good next.
Yeah, doing or enjoying life or being nice in this life because is for the next life, or because I want to get enlightened, or
you want to get?
Because I want to be enlightened. I'm following the path of Dharma because of enlightenment and all this like a selfish. Is it? Yes. Thank you.
Le jumde tsena china killing with some dollars. Number china. Le na kogi ni tunda sena la mi do zo de chichimala kiwa pole do chi samtang de dos. De mai be ni tsedila ram le ba kunun sambo chaju sambo de de chine ra inji minji chichimala samma da ma samje bo le do chi chaga. 아니 드니 나기 마옹바라네 더 치치마는 마셔 세딜라랑 마옹바 나니 디와토베 디제치도 아니 등에 지나서 아니 디 셀피쉬 라이가 라운드 친구 당시 친구도 자기 여기 인추이냐면 자기 여기서
디 라운드는 다베 저는 저는 대화 보고도 힘들어 대화 보고도 대화 주고라 디디 메시 네 나도 정말 대화한테 그때 누님도 같이 생긴 거라. 다 소소소도 그냥 소소 마음바다 대화 보면 이미지기 취지에 지고 말아. 다 소소 마음바다 대화 주고 있나? 아니 단단히 마음바다 대화 왜 주디 싸우는 것도 지마야 마사야는 되는 거.
So then we need to think about it in this manner first. Like do you want happiness in the future, right? So if you want happiness in the future, then you need a cause. You need to establish the cause for that future happiness. And if you want, rather than talking about this being selfish or not selfish, just kind of like think about if you want happiness in the future, then of course you need to accumulate or like establish the cause of that future happiness. And that cause of future happiness, now you need to think about how to establish or accumulate that cause of future happiness.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Did you have a question?
No. Okay. Didura hani tanga tanda dewaji tsawache. Ta dewaji na ane ranjonga da jinjo ngara. Chezan ane tanga ranjonga da jela.
So then, since we're still talking about this precious human birth, then we talked about these 8 freedoms. And then on top of these 8 freedoms, the scriptures say that we are blessed with 10 different favorable conditions in this human birth. And then what are these 10 favorable human conditions that we are blessed as human beings? And then when we talk about these 10 favorable conditions, then they are divided into 2. These favorable conditions from one side, and then these favorable conditions from the other side. And then we talk about the first one, which is the favorable conditions from one side. That's all.
Tadi yani ranjonga de karasan suna da cheche bala chango ba wa chajenga suran la chango ba karani la chango wa de meche bala ra susun me mi chewa yi ba cheche bala ani mi ma to ani siji shimba da tu kale ko ba 아니 유스 제발라 건가라 아니 내는 다시 로가도 단다 메치바체 유스 제 내는 샤 아니 somebody ombo cham 아니 시바데 레타 마로가 나바데 네레테 디샤라.
So to kind of enumerate these 5 favorable conditions from one's own side, then these are being born as a human being, then to be born in a central location, then to born with your sense faculties intact, and then you have an accumulated contradictory karma or actions. And then to have faith in the Dharma. So then when we talk about the first favorable condition, then this is the favorable condition of taking birth as a human being. And then when we talk about as we kind of think about the freedoms that were mentioned, then we know that in this human birth we are blessed with a mind that has intelligence. And this intelligence has the ability not just to think about this life, it has the intelligence and the farsightedness to be able to think about the next life and the future lives too. So this is why it is a favorable condition, this intelligence that we have as human beings.
아니 뭔가 저의 주마가 되게 저를 보내 되게 성탄하게 스미신 바나 칼에 커버와 제가 미인자 아니면 저기 되게 제시소로와 세드린다 아니 산이다 아니 데두다 아니 이레니 이레야 포데르 두저들이 빵고와들이 제고와들은 아주 미지 미쳤네 뭔가 하고라 제가 미리 제바디 자오치고 이거 되게 시도했어.
So then this is not to say that these animals or other sentient beings are not blessed with intelligence. There's a difference herein. When we talk about their intelligence or our intelligence, if you kind of look at the example of a bird, it is evident that these are intelligent beings because they are able to make a nest for themselves. But their intelligence is limited to their immediate welfare. They do not have the ability to think far ahead, or to kind of they do not have the ability to really discern between what is right or wrong. Their immediate concern will be the physical comfort and physical well-being. So this is why we need to make a distinction when we say since we are blessed with such an intelligence.
최제 고도유가 최다 세이즈를 아마도 예히니다 아니 상지가 선바다 간다 최디 양매체에 있을 때 되질라고 레스트라 게스트는 메바이나 아니 페나 좀 빼로 샤와이나 지 조서지를 랍더로다 직자원이 메바이나 고바도 랍더로를 시는 메바이나 그거들 랍나라요 라 대나생이 지최 제세기 고유 주메바이나 먼저 지게 소소 안보다 차선 창대에는 미이바이나야 자기 차선 창대에는 라르치스 고유면은 내가 들어서 시야라인다. 대나생이 진짜 최미 류야 호텔에나 최체스 고유의 라마의 계획이냐라고다. 다들 되게 최 자원이 메시지나 그걸 주제에 그거를 제가 가서 되면 이봐 최체스 고유 아니라고.
So then the next favorable condition is to be born in a central location. Now this is a very literal translation of the original text. And then what do we mean to take birth in a central location? And by this it simply means that you are blessed to be born in a place where the teaching still prevails. So to use an analogy, then like if you are born in a village area where there is like no school, no academic system at all, then there is no scope for that child to ever get educated in such an environment. So likewise, even though if you have taken birth as a human being, then if you are born in a place or a location wherein you do not hear about the Dharma and there are no teacher, then you do not have the opportunity to practice the Dharma at all. But since you are born in such a central location wherein the teachers are available, the teachings are still available, then you should make the most of being born in such a central location.
네 엄부청아 내더라. 엄부청아도 배는 가서 미 농아로 있는 가서 대로 가서 놀러 들어오라. 아니 안쪽에 그 바로 있나 아니 지금 라마다 기회히 좀 쉬수 많이 나래. 미 랍자시 제와 있는 수니에 도 있는 거야 말아. 아니 다 지금 람바도 구가도 있나로 아니 수수이야. 수수이 취시와 있는 뭐가 시시 엄마만 상황 찾아라. 근데도 속아 아니 무슨 내 많이 게. 내 자체처럼 상대를 엄부청아.
So then the third type of favorable condition that you are blessed with is having an intact sense faculties. So this is kind of evident. It is self-explanatory because if you are born blind, deaf, then it is very tough for you to kind of receive teachings or to practice these teachings.
네, 달래다 말로 발라디가 아니 지기 약하시기 내가 누렸지, 고도로 매바다 아니 지내가 두신 수수가 파마다 아니 파마세와다 아니 지 견뎌라서 좀 아니 지기 추가 대바자와니 매 되게야 내가 두제도 드시는 줄 알아 타고 세상 아주 되게 많이 이렇게.
And then the fifth type, the fourth type of favorable condition is like not having accumulated or not having done or not having accumulated contradictory karma or not having done contradictory actions. And herein, what do we mean by contradictory karma or contradictory actions? Then the first aspect would be to have like no faith in the Dharma at all. That is a sort of the view aspect of it. But then when we talk about the action itself, then like the kind of karma that are contradictory are explained to be such karma or actions such as killing your own parents, murdering your own parents, such like heinous crimes. If you haven't, since you have not committed such heinous crimes or such like a contradictory karma, then you are blessed to have the opportunity to practice the Dharma. Since if you have done such heinous crime or committed such heinous crime, then it is very tough for you to practice the Dharma. Yes.
아니 지 아직 겨워지 두어 있는데 겨워지 누워 타고 가 되지도.
So then in the scriptures, when we talk about contradictory karma, then we kind of talk about like this killing your own parents, or then killing a member of the Sangha community, that is monks and nuns. So if you have committed such a crime, killing your parents or killing a member of the Sangha community, then this does not, of course, mean that you cannot accrue a good merit at all. But then since the bad merit that you accumulate from like committing this crimes is too like vast, then your like good merits kind of pales in comparison to such a heinous crime. That's
예지 아니 나 내려 대발라 내려 대발라 아니 달라가서 남배 출래 샤워네 아니 남배 출래 치다 대발요 되시오라.
So then the fifth favorable condition from one's own side is to have faith and belief in the Dharma. Yes.
되지 뒤 달라가서 매제바도 아니 가서 요스 제바 아무 상황에 다 말로 봐 내려 대발 라 두수 상황하려나 소소 나랑서 라지를 참고 아니를 상황에서 안 좋은 거지. 다시 인정하는 데 실로를 하려 되지 싫어. 뒤에 이제 좋아하다. 이제 싫어.
So So these 5 favorable conditions are kind of met by oneself. To be born as a human, to be born in a central location, to be born with your sense faculties intact, and then to have faith in the Dharma, and then to have not committed contradictory actions. So these are like favorable conditions that one establishes oneself, or these conditions are met by oneself. But then when we talk about the other 5 favorable conditions, then these conditions are met by like external factors. Now we will enumerate each of these other 5 favorable conditions. And then 신심이 두서와는 강해요.
신심이 두서와는 이거는 전기 치료, 이거는 니네 저요.
And the Sangye Brahma 여기 말하는 거 신기 치료 똑같은 두서와요.
진짜 사직이 안저를 저면은 쳐서 말아. 얘네는 히드지를
So then these other 5 favorable conditions from others or from outside, these conditions are met by external factors. Now these are, the first one is that the Buddha or an enlightened being came into this particular world that you were born in. And the second one is that particular who came into that Buddha who came into that particular world actually gave a Dharma teaching. And then that teaching survives still. And then there are students and followers of that particular teaching still existing. And then that Buddha who arrived in this particular world had the love and compassion for the sentient beings of that particular world. These are the 5 conditions met by external factors. Then the first, to kind of explain the first favorable condition met by an external factor, which is that the Buddha actually came into this world. And since if there was no Buddha, then there would be no Buddha Dharma. Then we have to feel blessed that the Buddha actually came into this world to give the teaching. And these teachings survives from this lineage of the later Indian masters to the Tibetan masters still. So then not only did the Buddha come into this particular world, he even took the trouble to explain the Dharma. So there are instances wherein some Buddha will come into this world and do not really explain the Dharma. But since we live in a world where the Buddha actually took the time to explain the Dharma, then this Dharma actually survives because the Buddha actually gave the Dharma in the first place. If the Buddha didn't give the teachings of the Dharma in the first place, then there wouldn't be the later Indian masters or the Tibetan masters explaining the Dharma. So we need to also feel blessed that not only did the Buddha come into this world, he actually gave teachings of the Dharma too.
사제시는 사제기 추수 따뜻한 아니 Geshema Dawa Dolma 자기 부비다지 가서 인지도 여민이 가리는 길이 마무지는 파지도 거라 수송원이 주님의 지니는 그래서 때 마무지라고
So in this day and age, the Buddha Dharma is very easily kind of accessible and available, because even though the original teachings were given in Pali, but now and it was preserved by the Tibetans in Tibetan, but in this day and age it is very accessible. You can find it in English, German, any language like you can think of. So you should really, if your mind is really set on practicing the Dharma, then the teachings are very easily available these days.
다 때문에 받아들이거나 아니 선지기 그러게 아까와 뭐지 지까지 뭐지 사제 아니 그러게 최순만 나시기 순주디 다 냠내지니 럽두들라 마트 디사벨 무틀리 거라 찍찍래라 뭐 주바탄다 엔더디 브레스라 다치나기 때마다 너무 때마다 또베 때마다 뭐베라 너무 때마다 사제 순주디 마마 바레시는 만들이 또베 때마다 사제 그러게 또 가져라디 아니 그리 좀 맞는 거 가리 무틀 만들이 아 또 때마다
So when we talk about Buddha Dharma as a doctrine, then generally in the scriptures we talk about two types of doctrine. The doctrine of sutra, the actual verbal teachings that is given by the Dharma, and then the doctrine of realization, the kind of emptiness or realization that a Buddha has. And both of these doctrines survive in our day and age, today still. And when the Buddha explained the Dharma, then later there is an unbroken lineage of that Buddha Dharma being transmitted from the ancient time until now. So this is the third unfavorable condition, that the doctrine of sutra and realization survives still to this day due to the efforts of the disciples of the Buddha. Thus.
아니 이 예수 주발라디가 사제기 취 코라상제 취냐메치 아니 달라마들라마 수준나 다디기 주바주바진 가래가마 못다리와 이 예수 주발라디 단다 사제 무스 셰슈요 말다 사제기 수무샤주다 아니 예수 자가게 받아 그렇게 받아 이렇게 뭐 주샤주다 마냐메치니야 예수 주발마 진주바 대야다는 메투디 내리 지차되라.
So then, if these teachings and doctrine of sutra and realization survives in this day and age, then it is mainly because there were disciples and there were followers of the Buddha who kind of took it upon themselves to practice and follow these teachings. So then, the fourth favorable condition is that they are followers and disciples of these teachings in this day and age.
다디나 다 진신이 저는 디가는 주지게는 요된 속 진시 있어 최 현재 저게 유비 있어 다 진신이 저는 디가라 저게 사지게 그런 두저 전부 가라마 주나와들 고에도라 아니야 지기 먼저 다나 나한테 주로 나한테 찍기를 로바치니 봐 데데데 고에도라 진기 실 힘이 저는 디가라 진기 치데 저와쳐
So then the fifth favorable condition is explained in this manner, wherein when we say the fifth favorable condition is wherein the Buddha actually had love and compassion for these sentient beings, and we can derive two kind of meanings from this condition. One is that the Buddha had love and compassion for the sentient beings, so that he took the trouble to give the teachings. And then the second one is to kind of relate it to our daily practice, wherein if you have a community of sangha, a community of practitioners, then you have love and compassion for each other, wherein you support each other in your practice of the Dharma.
세상 다기가 도겠다 대비가 논조로정이 대비 좀 참을 때가 여러와 다 자와드나 자와다 부디 기타기다 가르단 스미 타질라라이라 디니가 저게 다라이다 된조 밀리기 가와인 거지 맞는 시라 다디 야니 가르스 신도를 카베 된조 주비 삼바이를 제가 저치나 된조 주비 삼바디 된 샤주 셈도 저 샤슈라 따디 제번 제번 쇼르디가 따다는 뒤 남자 준도 나와 제번 제번 베가 자와 첨보다 아니 근데 진짜 벌써 소소한 아주 근데 진짜 오셔라 이러다 또
So now to kind of go back to the text, we're still studying the first verse of the text. Herein it says, by thinking of all sentient beings as more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, for accomplishing the highest aim, I will always hold them dear. Now in here, when we talk about these favorable conditions and these 8 freedoms, then we have to know that this favorable condition is in you. And then when we meditate, when we are able to kind of accept that I am blessed with such favorable conditions and such freedoms, then of course, when you think about other sentient beings, then you should treat other sentient beings as precious too. Because without them, you do not have the means to realize the highest aim. The highest aim herein refers to liberation from samsara, but not just liberation from samsara, to be able to achieve the level of a bodhisattva, to generate bodhicitta in yourself, wherein you have this altruistic aim to not only gain enlightenment for yourself, but to be able to help other sentient beings to get liberation from samsara. So we need to treat, since I am blessed with such freedoms and favorable conditions, then I need to treat, I have to treat these other sentient beings as very precious beings, because they are the means for me to accomplish not just any aim, but the highest aim. And for this reason, I would always, all the time, hold them dear.
Rani yen me parta ra sozo di ani mi sheba de la zidong che go ra zidong de kuje che rani nga so ko le me me yesa me ba ta res ya me le de pa shim de so nga ke bu chi tu ma le di ma ra so ka da be de le thong sha bo ti ten de ani yen rani de to la ani ku ba che ra ku zi che ani di ka la na kira gi da ga ri juna la do barong other karna la di bi sheba la yeba la kuje che go Bebe na na pe mo da ta phama de chiju ga de labje de kemba da khushu che kemba da khane lo ya ma de pe kora rashi ki yor ba ki shet gre de ro cha bo che sa di nga zu kala ge shen de zu wa da mi shen ba da khushu che wa da de che wa de so so ma ra ke du ma ra mi gi pa ta na che na ani mi di aba thon ya ro so ge chi thon sha ya ro de so so la jong ra ya ke yo ma ra de de za ani chi 수수가 미 신발을 지 자동으로 구조되는 체원이 수수가 와서 직접 아니 미기 신발을 수수랑 자동으로 그 자동으로 미는 수수 구조 맞아 와이나 수수가 자동으로 하시 라라 뭐든지 아니 계산이 이제 라이도 되지 아니 다디 자와스 나로로 되다가 강다 수도 조비 체스라 강다 수다 조비 체스 지나 가와 들어와이나 조고 수도 년도 두어이나 사자 가래 들어와이나 내가 가래 들어와이나 조고 수도 두어이나스라 조비 체 다니 거 렘메 다시라 다니레데 소소 콘조데 심지 신발에 소소 심지 신발 창말에 소소 메었다 콘조 상말에 나를 저 비에 된지라 우메 맞다 그랬으라 아니 제라 상바 타바이게 파쇼고 신들래야 아니 지 구셔 좀 많이 오늘 니 따바니 라 상바 타바이게 밀어 봐야 고치야다 아니 구셔 쳐야다 제라 상바 타바이 아니 초든 제마다 디가 파기 미 신발들에 다가 탑던 상마이 바 파기 미 신발들에 아니 너저기 야부츠고 초츠고 말아 근데 기반 zembal라 되가 기반라는 지다기 자와 첨보야 냐야로 들으시다고 근데 일로 지어 쇼를 하지라 디베 찍고 거지 좀 근데 지요 와이나 아주 찍찍을 바라 대바다 이시들 그셔들 요 와이나 수도 관리가 통부쳐라 근데 디치디 문제 전에 이 고야 침부치더라.
So then moving on to the second verse of the text, whenever I'm in the company of others, I will regard myself as the lowest among all, and from the depths of my heart cherish others as supreme. Now at a face value, when you read this text, immediately I'm sure that you have the impression that this is a form of like self-pity, or this is a form of like what do you say, like mitigating your sense of self. But then I think like this second verse has like a profound teaching in it, because now when we talk about respect in the general sense of the term, then comparing it to the Indian and to some extent the Tibetan culture, then there's this natural sense of respect that is established or that exists between elders and younger people, wherein the younger people naturally, culturally, greet the elder people with respect. And now, herein, when we talk about respect, it has to be some sort of a genuine respect. It's not just a form of a form of respect. It has to be a genuine respect. And now, herein, when the text says, whenever I am in the company of others, I will regard myself as the lowest among all. Now, in this text, when it says, I will regard myself as the lowest among all, this is not meant to discourage the practitioner. This is not meant to discourage the practitioner. This is to encourage a sense of love and respect in the practitioner, wherein, if we read the last two stanzas, it says, from the depths of my heart, cherish others as supreme. So in the first stanza, it was established that we should hold these other sentient beings as supreme, as more precious or more supreme than a wish-fulfilling jewel. Since if we are able to establish such a motivation in our view of other sentient beings, then you need to develop a sense of love and respect to these sentient beings. And then this love and respect should be genuine, not just a form of respect. So then, when the text says, whenever I'm in the company of others, this means like wherever you are and with whoever you are, you should learn to regard yourself as the lowest among all. Now, this is not to discourage or to encourage a sense of self-submission, but if we kind of apply it to a real life example, and how when there is a sense of hierarchy in a company or in a factory, and then if the one at the top of the hierarchy, one at the top of the order is able to kind of respect the ones in at the bottom of the hierarchy order, then in that particular factory or in that particular setup, there's a sense of harmony. But if the one at the top of the hierarchy, he holds himself to be self-important and he is like full of arrogance, then this naturally sows the seed for discontent among the workers. So this is a real life example we're in. So if we are able to regard or hold other people as dear and supreme in our as the means to accomplishing our highest aim, then we are able to develop a genuine sense of love and respect for them, not just a form of respect. So this is why it is encouraged to kind of always think of yourself as lower to kind of combat your arrogance than others in your interactions. Yes.
이제 다다디 실로가 숨바디 가르데는 라라 라라 다부터 때는 용바남 도 용바도 때마스라 다디 컬러는 하나도 라주 용모 대샤시나 팀이라 조바 아니 빵도 때마레를 디 가르쳐는 자와디는 가르쳐나 주영함 건데 라주라스라 또지 용모 치마타 다신 마름 제바나 센터 dobar shola tati kala chionam kanda anjila de susu kawa duwaina kawa dewaina susu chionam jera cheba bosu cheba mai sum cheba kanda anjila asa to jin le taji chego resra susu ge shidi kanda shi rona kanda do dena kanda susu kare chigi no odi la taji to jin ani yumo chima tha yumo susu ge jin de shina ki kontrola so chima tha de namsa meba so chama so resra ani 계시든데 안에 젠라 마룸 제베나스 계시처럼라 안에 되셔시나 띵물로 소가 가리네 지제니 안에 되게 젠라 누바 제와이나 라 누바 제 가르드네 마룸베 되게 내셈이 로 제와이나 제베나 안에 근데 가르서는 센터지는 동원이 또 버쳐라다 남사고라 가서 쩨무치 디제 맞춰야지 파피고래라 라 하다 그러기 지기 레가로 지금 산노다나로 두르 식산노 코이나 오 디치는 되게 말하는 남사 둘로도 가까워 해라 소소로 따지치니 로 두에 제와도 남사 빠면서.
So then moving on, the third verse in the text. In every action I will watch my mind, and the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avoid them, since they will hurt both me and others. Now herein, the text talks about the negative consequences of the destructive emotions that arise in us. So then when we talk about the destructive emotions, generally we refer to like the three of the negative emotions that are present in our being, with the negative emotions of attachment, aversion and anger. If these three negative emotions, if they arise in us, then you should immediately try to confront these emotions in yourself before expressing them out, and then to try to not express these negative emotions in your activity. In the first line it says, in every action I will watch my mind. Now this is a very important instruction, because in the Buddha Dharma, since we are talking about the transformation of ourselves, then it always starts with us. So in every action, to always watch your mind, and not just watch, to analyze what happens in your mind, to analyze the moment when these negative emotions arise in us. And when these negative emotions arises in our mind, then to immediately confront them strongly, and to not express these negative emotions in our behavior, because these negative emotions do not have any positive qualities at all. These negative emotions would be the source of suffering not just for yourself, but for others too. Yes. So as a general rule of the course, we have specifically made time for questions and doubts in the 3:30 to 4:30 session. But I would encourage you to ask questions if you have any questions so far right now. And on top of that, I want to tell you all to make yourself comfortable when you attend the teaching, because since you are sitting directly on the floor, there are enough mattresses and cushions for everyone. So you use as many mattresses or cushions you want to make yourself feel comfortable. So far, do we have any questions? Yes?
I know Buddhist cosmology must be an enormous topic, but I'm interested in the idea of the phrasing that you used around this particular world and how the worlds are similar or different, and if humans in this particular world may be at risk with negative karma of ending up in a world where the Buddha has not chosen to come and provide teachings. And I guess I'm interested in why Buddha would not, if Buddha's ultimate aim is to help further the enlightenment of all sentient beings, why there would be worlds where the Buddha has not visited.
Yes. So then the Chiwa Didish, Manzuki Zamling Dila Junior and Sumaratagi, Sanjay Zamling Dila Junior, Zamling Dila and Shin, Zamling Mahoro Jibashidos, Jiding and Namshak Shin, Namshun, Tishishuja, Trajibur, Tende Trajo Domo Chesra, Sanjay Lady, the Sanjay Inara, Simjingi, Didula, Dior. Sinanchi di Yorwa, Roshin Ninjiroji. Ni Tanda Zamingina Sanji, Junior Lana, Teni San Zamin Shindachila, me yourself, Zamin Shindachilas, Sanji Majuma di Yorwes, Tende Majuma Yuna, Sanji, Roshin di Poram, Simjing Didula, Ninji Yujiras, Teni Sanji Juma Boy, Jumzen to the Candidas.
사제 근데 신발을 주는 그래서 뭐라
말이 디 zamling the junior show jigde shinda jing mi jo sanje ma jun jo ji yore la bo rasa ni sanje gi rangshin khurang ni simje la ninje da de gyo ji na ni sanje pe pi zamling na ma jun gi jumzen chi chi
이제 맞은 나라 나라 입래다 계속 줘요 말해서 이제 정말 줘요 말하는가 계속 때서는 계속 줘요 매번 있는 거들이 취재해서 사기 때문에 내용 뭐 제가 사실 줘요 봐 인자 나도 안에 다야 줘요 제가 사실 선이들 투자와 친구인자 사실 도저히 맞춰요 말해 나중에 애들에게 대백이 짜지는 사직이 아니 그 말에 맞아 대백이 후후요 짱무도요 했나 아니 사실 아니 뭐야 줘야죠 이거를 뭐라 짜 대백이 짜지도 하려요 간지 먼저다 맞아 사직이 사직을 맞아 대박이 치요 사직이 신토를 했어 사직이 투지기 신을 맞춰서 해요 말이야
So then
이내야 그다음 수치결로 사지 쉬어 마셔야 지기야 템벌에도 제 다다가서 다자 바이는 가래 다다 사지로 올라가 아니 뭐 사지 내 사지 근데 뭐 보자 다다가서 다다 사지 이게 근데 쉬로 하더라
So then, this is not to say that there is a world wherein the Buddha has not chosen to come. This is to kind of reinforce the point to count the blessing that the Buddha actually came. And when we talk about when we talk about the Buddha coming into this world, generally, of course, it's a valid concern that since he is a Buddha, of course, he would have love and compassion for beings. And then in the scriptures, we have a verse wherein it says that if the sentient beings or the disciples, let's say, have a faith which is compared to like a hook, then the circle on which that hook needs to be hung, it's always ever present with the Buddha. So the love and compassion of a Buddha is kind of limitless. It is explained in that way. And now herein we do not say that there is a world wherein the Buddha has not come. But now to kind of come back to reality, or like this plane of reality, and when we talk about the Buddha is not in front of us at this moment, but there was a historical Buddha. And his like trace is preserved in the lineage of the teachings. This is the way we need to think about this particular type of favorable condition. Yes.
What, according to you, what do you understand by Buddhism? What is Buddhism?
나슈라는 계획만의 간지로 주소입니다.
나슈라는 지난게 먼저 나를 지난 시대 나를 지난 들으시고라. 단 나슈라가 지난 실로를 지금 다시 한번 지금 이게 나이 생디 번joa 땅. 디 지부 봐서 예 지난 가서 실로래 지 내가 내도 실로 지금 가도 뭐 뭐지 그 자세지의 책이 조디 난 셈바디 반조다.
So to put it simply, then in the Tibetan translation of the word Buddhism, it says Nang Chu, wherein Chu is transformation or correction, and Nang is inner. So for me, from that itself, like I derive a great meaning from the name itself, because the main, like, core teaching of Buddhism is the inner transformation of mind. This is what I take Buddhism to mean. Of course, there is, as a religion, there is this ritualistic aspect to it, but these are external factors. The core teachings is this inner transformation of the mind.
So the Dubai Chera, so the Dubai Papa, and the Chin Yams land, so the Senjula Tati, the Zedra.
So then, this inner transformation, what do we mean by this inner transformation? So herein, when we say we need to have an inner transformation of the mind, then we say that the main practice is to kind of abandon these negative emotions, these obscurations that arises in the mind, and to kind of abandon these, to try to abandon these negative emotions. This is what it means to transform your mind. There's a question here.
You talk about in verse 3, I will confront in the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avert them. I was wondering, how do you confront them strongly and avert them? How does it look in daily life and daily practice?
mungkin na zenda doni doba sho le di chi yo da di song ni zo ma ni na mi chi gang ni me zena na ki si mi mo cha ko de ge na sra ani kanjes zenda doni doba sho le di le me ze nam ju me zena na pe ro ji jan sung tu yo es
ta da na zo ni mo la ra ni ni mo de cha she dan ki ra ni mo ma le ba la cha tu zo ta de chi dan ni mo ba la de ga chi se ma shi wa chi ni de ni mo ra 지난 이모 거는 이천이니까는 라지 마시고 지금 생존을 봐. 샘들바 흘려대 쪽신들 이모로 봐. 근데 왜 아니 이모도 제마타데 아니 지금 저기 파파에 들었다. 근데 그런 저 간다래. 이모
젠더도는 너무 쇼는 숨도 왔어. 근데 나 소속이 남주기 메제나 빼려지잖아 숨도 왔어.
지금 젠더 진도 너무 쇼를 내가 지금 샘 시와를 해요. 맞아 내가 신의 팀무들 완전히 제우들 semdonso mashiyo char right pena kana control chi da pesha waina tamu chara lelo chi de right ta mi chi chara le signa ko le chi le namsa control la ndo right control la ndo la namsa bhagi de le ja thapshe ta chi kare na signa na bu la waina mi lo ta waina la ko la chi shu waina ta ji ne chi dam le wa je zang dinde ji yu de che wa ta ma zo lo ta mo ne chi ko sa lo de che wa che ma ta ma ka bu che ma ju che kesi pe la makina la pata chi shue la kaso la pata kamba da de chi shue ta che besoin de chang de la ta ma pang de sra de che wa ni de de mo so ge de duo yi ha ko ni ba lo du je de mo je me to de ba pang de kesi chang de che wa ni ya chi yue ma ra kesi me chi pa shue wa ni me de chu shue wa ra pa chi na ba na se na ba la ni che de la ni pe ni ga cho cha wa ra undi So
then when we talk about confronting our negative emotions when they arise in us, then first we need to kind of recognize what actually are these negative emotions, what are the characters and the qualities of these negative emotions. Then in the scriptures, generally negative emotions are defined in this manner. A mental factor that disturbs the peace or the calm of the mind. If a mental factor has the effect of disturbing the natural peace and calm of the mind, then it is a negative emotion. So if these negative emotions disturb the calm and the natural calm and the peace of the mind, then these are not something good, right? First we accept this aspect of the negative emotions, that negative quality of the negative emotions. And then to kind of give you a relatable example, in a real life example would be, let's talk about the emotion of anger. when it arises in you, now herein the text advises us to confront them strongly. Now herein, what does it mean by confront them strongly? Without confronting without confronting anger as a negative emotion, then it manifests as retaliation, right? Physically or verbally. If you do not confront them, then it is expressed in a physical or a verbal manner. And then what happens when these negative emotions manifest themselves physically or verbally? Then it creates further seeds of resentment, and then it also puts you into physical danger because the other person can retaliate likewise, physically and verbally. So this is why the text says that these negative emotions has the quality of disturbing the calm and peace of the mind. This is why they are negative. And then you should not let them be expressed or manifest in our behavior or in our activity by confronting these negative emotions. If you are able to confront them, then if we have the acceptance that these are not good, then if you confront them, then these are not expressed in your behavior. This is the way you need to confront them strongly, these negative emotions.
아니 디기 너저지 왜 이거를 나츠들래 나츠시마네 치미시마 카리나 나서 다즈기 베 내가 메버서라 두두 집어래는 배샤고 이베 바바로치 테테보라 두두 나자고다 두두마이나 주고 되고 메버 차이라 나 시기래는 나이래는 카리는 코치 키야시 주라 피나시기 되셔시다 팀주다 아니 아 가서서 제주어도 뒤에 근데 지어이나 아니 소소다 카리는 찍혀지 모르겠어 나도 잠도 살다 되셔시다 팀주도 수소가 지금 오빠 체인도 좋아 팀도 너거다 오늘 라
Now, to wrap up the answer, then when we talk about these negative emotions, then in the Buddhist text, scriptures, they are explained as the three poisons. And I think this is a very suitable and apt analogy used to explain the negative emotions. They are called poison because any amount that you partake of these emotions, if they are poison, would result in something bad, something harmful for you. And I think it is a very apt analogy used in the Buddhist text. Sometimes we have this mistaken conception that these emotions could serve to kind of protect us, right? And this is a very mistaken conception, because since these are poison, any amount that you partake of these poisons would inevitably have a negative effect on you. If it is not immediately, but in the long run, it could not have a positive effect. Yes.
아니 근데 칼라서 그래서 아니 저런 데를 근데 말랍셔도 야고치 그거들이니까
So before we go for lunch, I want to ask, are you understanding the teaching, and are you able to kind of gauge the teachings so far in the manner that is being taught right now? Yes? If you are able to understand and pick something up, then it's good.
It's very difficult.
Otherwise, it's pretty difficult for the teacher too.
Okay.